Hello, it's Hal the Woodmeister here, just giving you an update on how I'm doing with this refurbishment of the old secretary. It had a few cracks in it. There's one if you can see it there. I filled it with this Timbermate product. It will take a stain, so when it's stained the white will go away and it'll blend in more with the color of the oak. But as you can see, this wood is coming out really nice. That part up there was all severely cracked with the old finish on it. There were a few cracks back in there that I finished up. I've sanded the whole thing down using the palm sander. I'll also show you a couple other tricks that I use when I'm doing this kind of thing. I've taken the door and stripped it down also. This is a little tool that I've used to remove the hardware. When I get the hardware off, in order to keep it from getting lost, I always find some old plastic bags and bag it up. I also tape the glass off to protect it while it's being redone. The other pieces over here, I'm still doing some finishing touches on those. I have another tool here that I use for getting out the it's a contour sander tool. It's called a Merit Flexo Sand. It came in a kit like this. It has different sandpaper grits and it can be used with your own drill. The way it works is it's got brushes in here and it gets down into the contour. I'll give you a quick demonstration of how it works. It really takes two hands or three hands. I've only got two to hold the piece of wood and use that at the same time. But the rest of these pieces are coming along really nice. If you compare it with the earlier video, you'll see that this thing is really starting to take shape. Next step will be to start staining it after I finish a few touch-up places, and we'll show you the staining process in the next. Oh, it's Hal the Woodmeister here. This is my segment on staining. I'm refurbishing an old secretary here. It's a two-part video, and this is the second part of the video. I've previously stripped all this furniture down and taken it apart, took this old secretary apart and stripped it all down, and now I'm ready to start staining it. The first part of the video will show you that. I've chosen to use a Minwax antique special walnut stain on this. Be sure you stir it up or shake it up very good before you use it. And always wear a nice pair of gloves to protect your hands, and all you need is a small rag to apply it. That's what I use. Some people use brushes, but I prefer a rag, and you want to use a circular motion to make sure the stain gets rubbed in good. And you can use lots of stain because you're going to rub it all off before you're all finished, but you want to make sure that the stain gets well penetrated into the wood, and the circular motion is the best way of doing that. Now this is really turning out nice. I'm really happy with the way that it's looking so far. And you can see if you get a shot of how that looks with the circular motion. And you can let it set. The longer you let it set, the darker it gets. I don't really want too dark a color on this, so I'm going to finish up both sides of this piece. Make sure you protect your saw or whatever you're working on. I'm just using some old newspaper here. to protect it, to wipe down all parts of it. And before I flip it over, I'm going to go ahead and remove what's on this side. And as you can see, that really brought the color of this wood out. This is just beautiful old oak wood. This is the front side of the flip down part. I've been working on this thing for about a week now, and off and on. I don't work on it full time. I'm retired and this is my hobby, and I make these videos because I enjoy doing it. I don't get anything out of it. And I post them on YouTube so people that want to learn how to do this stuff can learn how to do it. I actually looked for a video on YouTube on refurbishing old furniture, and I found a bunch of commercials on there of people that were trying to promote a business of getting you to bring your furniture into them to restore it, or I found some tips on various parts, but nobody really carried the process from beginning to end. And this video will go all the way from taking it down, stripping it, sanding it out, staining it, putting a finish on it, and then putting it back together, and then demonstrating the end results. And that's the best part of all this process, is the end results you get. You can see it. It's coming out really nice. If you look at the first segment of this video, you'll see that this piece of furniture was all weathered and wasn't in very good shape, but when we finish it up, it'll be a beautiful addition to anybody's household. It's been in my family for years, so I plan on keeping it. Anyway, there you go. That's has to be done to all the various pieces of it, and you need to let it dry before you put a finish on it. This needs to dry overnight. I always let them dry overnight before I put a finish on it. Otherwise you'll find that it bleeds into the finish. Anyway, that's the end of the demonstration on staining. I'm going to be staining all of it, but you won't want to sit there and watch me stain the whole thing, because it's basically the same process all the way through. Al the Woodmeister here. I restarted this thing, and I'll give you a few more shots of the finished pieces, or the stained pieces. They're not finished yet. I still have to put the finish coat on them. Anyway, they turned out pretty nice, I think. If you compare them to what I started out with, they were pretty rough in the beginning. There's the drawer. There's the cabinet to go with the glass pane in it. And going back over to the main cabinet, you can see all around that it came out pretty nice. I'll back up here so you can see what all the pieces look like. Zoom in on them. Anyway, that's enough for the night. I think it's time to kick back and go watch the news and have some liquid refreshment. Oh, it's the Woodmeister here. I'm going to start finishing this thing off. I've decided to go with the Minwax polyurethane and even though it's a semi-gloss, which I prefer to a satin, it doesn't make that much difference because I can satinize it by using a really fine steel wool after it's already been put on. I can go back to whatever sheen I want that way. And I'm going to be using a bristle brush here, which is best for oil-based paints. And the little tip is it makes your brush easier to clean to start out with. Just dip your brush in some paint thinner. This is just standard paint thinner that you get in 1 gallon cans. I buy this polyurethane because I do a lot of this kind of stuff in 1 gallons, and I've also bought it in quarts. Either one is fine, but rather than use it directly from the 1 gallon container, I pour it into the smaller container, which keeps it from the bigger container from getting diluted. When you dip your brush in there, it's best thing to do is just tap it against the side. That leaves you plenty of paint in there, so you don't have to go back and forth as many. And always brush with the grain. Get nice even flowing strokes. I'm painting the back sides of these pieces first, and I'm going to let them dry. See how it comes out to make sure that that's what I want to do with the whole thing, so I'm not in a big hurry to get this done. So I'll be doing the back sides of this happens to be the cabinet door and the opening pull down desk top first. But that's all you need to do is just make sure you get it nice and smoothed out. You want to use a thin coat to start with. You don't want a thick coat because it will require more than 1 coat. And a thinner coat is easier to work with, and you use after it dries, you use a 220 sandpaper in between coats and just lightly sand it. Anyway, it's not rocket science putting this stuff on there. It's not like spray painting, which is a lot more difficult, and I think you get just about as good a finish with this new modern polyurethane paint. Anyway, that's the start of this thing. We're going on to the next step of finishing off all the pieces, and we'll be putting it back together.